you know, as well as we can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. For our next item, it's an update on Cardinal Innovations Healthcare. I have declared that I have a conflict. So has Commissioner Jarrell. But if I remember correctly, our rules require the board to recuse us. So at
Chairman, I'll make a motion to allow you and Commissioner Jarrell to excuse yourself because of a conflict with respect to this issue.
All right,
Thank you.
all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. You guys have a good night. Oh, and Commissioner Powell will chair the remainder of the meeting.
Oh, you going home is what you're saying.
He had to put me out.
I'm just saying, I just want to know.
Well, that's why we kind of put it at the end of the agenda. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I'm an associate professor, I'm not
Emily. Emily.
I want to keep this. They don't get to go home and all this.
Assistant County Manager Anthony Trotman will give us an update on the Cardinal Innovations Healthcare.
Thanks, Emily. She needs her roller skates.
All right. Good evening, Vice Chairman Powell, Board of Commissioners, and County Manager DiOrio. As introduced, I'm Anthony Trotman, Assistant County Manager for Health and Human Services. And in tonight's presentation, I will provide an update on our partnership with Cardinal Innovations. And during the presentation I gave in February, I recommended 2 action items for Cardinal: to submit a formal improvement plan and to create a shared data system to track referrals and outcomes between Cardinal and Mecklenburg County. In response to our request of Cardinal, we received an outline for a new child welfare clinical care model for youth in DSS custody in August, which as of today has not been fully implemented. We have not received any formal plans that support people served by criminal justice services or services for adults or people experiencing homelessness. Cardinal also has informed us that they are exploring granting DSS staff access to an online portal that will allow our staff to see if services for children and adults in our custody were authorized or denied. However, they have not communicated the date when that solution would be implemented. As reported in February, we also submitted a request for reimbursement to Cardinal in July 2019 because their provider network did not have the adequate capacity to serve our children in custody. The county incurred emergency placement costs as a result. Our legal staff have been meeting with Cardinal's attorneys since June 2020 regarding reimbursement for costs incurred, and those costs were approximately $1 million. And that was because residential treatment services from Cardinal were not readily available. And this issue is ongoing and has not been resolved. And although there are minimal outcomes to report, our staff from DSS and Criminal Justice Services have been meeting with Cardinal in an effort to improve our collaboration. And here with me tonight, I have the DSS Director, John Eller, and the Criminal Justice Services Director, Sonia Harper, representing both departments. One example of our collaboration is Cardinal has partnered with the county and 7 nonprofit agencies on McHope. It's a short-term initiative focused on the behavioral health needs of Mecklenburg County residents in the wake of COVID-19. Services being offered include a 24/7 resource and referral call line, substance abuse screening and treatment, and access to behavioral health services for uninsured and unemployed individuals. As you are aware, however, on October 19th, Cabarrus and Union County Board of County Commissioners voted to disengage from Cardinal. And on Friday, October 23rd, we submitted a joint letter with Forsyth County to Cardinal Innovation CEO Trey Sutton and the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Mandy Cohen, outlining our ongoing concerns. And a copy of this letter is in your packet. We received email communication from Cardinal last week stating they received the letter and were preparing a response to address our concerns. And Cardinal has asked that we share any additional feedback through an online form posted on their website. And on October 29th, several counties in Cardinal's catchment area were invited by Rockingham County to participate in a conference call to share their experiences. Along with Rockingham and Mecklenburg, other participating counties included Davidson, Stokes, Forsyth, Alamance, Cabarrus, and Union. As it relates to youth in custody, each county has experienced the same major challenges: limited network capacity, delays in service authorizations, and clinical recommendations not being approved for higher levels of care. And on Monday of this week, Charlotte Center for Legal Advocacy, Council for Children's Rights, and the National Health Law Program issued a letter to Secretary Cohen outlining similar concerns to those elevated by Mecklenburg County and discussed with the other counties I just mentioned in the catchment area. This letter is also included in your packet. So I will now discuss the challenges we outlined in the joint letter with Forsyth County to Cardinal and the Secretary, as well as the specific recommendations we made for improvement and next steps for consideration. The most persistent challenge with Cardinal continues to be network capacity, which refers to the network of behavioral health service providers and treatment program openings that are available in the community. An area where you can see the effects of limited network capacity is in our emergency placements for county youth in foster care. In FY19, approximately $2.3 million in county funds were spent for children in Mecklenburg County custody who were placed in emergency care due to services not being readily available. In FY20, over $2.4 million in county funds were spent, an increase of approximately $100,000 from the previous year. Cardinal is not responsible for all of these costs, but there were at least 100 instances in FY19 and 20 where children were placed in emergency care beyond 30 days because their contracted provider network did not readily accept our youth in custody with the most serious behavioral health needs. And recently, Cardinal staff reported that 47 therapeutic foster care providers have been added in Mecklenburg County. But on October 5th, DSS had at least 18 youth in custody awaiting residential treatment services. Staff submitted the list of children to Cardinal, and as of November 3rd, only 2 children have been connected to residential services through Cardinal. As a result, these children may be stuck in hospitals and emergency placements, which they are not receiving the appropriate treatment.
It's terrible.
And as it relates to our Services for Adults Division, Staff continue to report limited assistance with identifying appropriate residential treatment options for their wards, and a lack of clarity about what resources are available. In criminal justice services, staff continue to report that many clients with both mental health and substance use disorders are met with barriers to services and find themselves being bounced between treatment providers. In other words, the overall continuum of care remains fragmented and continues to make seamless service transitions from emergency rooms and jails nearly impossible. Our DSS and CJS staff report gaps in treatment services that are available in our community, especially for clients with significant needs and barriers, and that clients often wait lengthy periods of time to be approved or denied for services. In FY20, the average wait time for hard-to-place children with complex needs was approximately 5 months, ranging from 31 to 287 days. Staff have difficulty getting services authorized for clients who are indigent and not Medicaid eligible. The amount of state funding available for these populations and how to access these funds is unclear to our staff and our providers. And lastly, often clients aren't approved for treatment that is clinically recommended by licensed providers or physicians. This means that many individuals don't receive the level of treatment that is needed to meet their behavioral health needs. As a result of these challenges with accessing care, the county has had to enter into direct contracts with providers as a workaround to ensure clients receive appropriate services. For example, DSS has entered into contracts directly with residential service providers due to an inability to access care for youth through Cardinal Innovations. Beds with these residential services cost $231 per day and are paid with county funds. I'll now highlight a few of the key recommendations we made in our letter to Cardinal and the state. We requested Cardinal authorize or deny requests for enhanced behavioral health services within a time frame of 72 hours or less. Increase timely access to therapeutic foster homes by making the approval process for providers less cumbersome, and improve access to state-funded behavioral health services for people who are indigent and do not have Medicaid. We requested a corrective action plan by Monday, November 9th, and asked for Cardinal to include a deadline for resolving these issues. However, after thoughtful consideration of these issues, staff recommends that the board consider the disengagement process with the desire to receive better and more timely access to behavioral health services for individuals, families, and children. And although we requested an improvement plan from Cardinal and the state, we believe beginning this process is still warranted because of our lack of confidence in Cardinal's ability to make the necessary changes. This recommendation is based on our history and experience working with Cardinal and the consistency of issues throughout our catchment area and our peer counties. The disengagement process can be found in the North Carolina General Statutes, which are outlined on this slide, and you have a copy in your packet. More details to this process are in the administrative law codes, which specify, and you have a copy of those in your packet as well, We must provide written notice of our intent to disengage to the Secretary, the Legislature, and the affected counties also in Cardinal's catchment area, a minimum of 9 months prior to the proposed date of disengagement. The county will need to publish a plan for disengagement on our website, and we will also need to accept public comments on our disengagement plan for 60 calendar days. We must provide the Secretary with written documentation which includes the following information: approval of a disengagement plan by our Board of County Commissioners with the date of approval, and the approval has to be by majority vote. A plan to ensure continuity of services during the transition, and several other steps that are outlined on this slide and are in your packet. So, in closing, we continue to do our due diligence to work with Cardinal to resolve the ongoing issues. However, Mecklenburg County residents continue to go without appropriate services and timely treatment. And because of the persistent challenges I've outlined in tonight's presentation, we ask the board to authorize the county manager to begin the process of disengagement as outlined by the North Carolina General Statutes and the North Carolina Administrative Code.
Madam Chair, I wish to so move. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Leek, seconded by Commissioner Scarborough. And moving forward with discussion, I want to recognize that we have a speaker who signed up, the CEO of Cardinal Innovations. And so he will have 3 minutes of time to make a public appearance.
Chairman,
Commissioner Hall.
point of order. Just because this is a major move, should we give him more time than 3 minutes?
3 minutes is his time allotted.
I don't need no more than 3 minutes. Who is
So
gonna speak?
I think he is prepared for that. Yeah, he's
He's
prepared.
prepared for that? Okay, all right.
You can stay here all night.
Yes, I can. Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Yep, I'm going to start your 3 minutes.
Okay, great. Good evening, commissioners, and thank you for the opportunity. Tonight's discussion about the county potentially pursuing disengagement with Cardinal Innovations is disappointing and inconsistent with progress that we've made. 1 week ago, we received a letter from county staff asking both Cardinal and the Department of Health and Human Services for an action plan in response to some of the concerns that Anthony's outlined tonight. We assumed that request was a good faith request and that would allow DHHS and Cardinal to respond. I can share with you tonight that we will deliver a concrete plan to the county on Monday that's responsive and addresses the concerns. But we've already made progress on a lot of the issues that Anthony talked about tonight. For example, since February, we've resolved the issue with Crisis, the provider that you heard about, to ensure adequate funding for that provider. We've added over 230 providers or services, many of which are focused on the services for the kids in our community. And we've launched 2 programs designed to create capacity in our hospital partners' emergency departments, as an example. We're also concerned about tonight's discussion creating more confusion and potential disruption in care for the 145,000 Cardinal members with complex and challenging conditions that live here in Mecklenburg County. In 2019, Cardinal Innovations received $239 million in Medicaid and state funds for members here in Cardinal County, or Mecklenburg County, rather. We invested $247 in the care for these individuals. Again, $239 million received, $247 spent on care for those that we serve. The majority of these individuals that we serve are socioeconomically disadvantaged, and their lives are already precarious in general. The COVID-19 pandemic has obviously made that worse. By increasing the risk of interruption to care, we're talking about further jeopardizing the health and well-being of some of your most vulnerable constituents at the worst time, while we're dealing with this pandemic. Tonight's topic is further disappointing given our collaboration in addressing public health issues such as homelessness, food insecurity, and continuity of care. Cardinal Innovations recently announced making more than $245,000 in COVID-19 relief grants to 31 nonprofits here in Mecklenburg County, and that was immediately after the shutdown. The broader relief fund included $2 million for our communities. We've also funded an additional $14.5 million in COVID relief and stabilization funding directly in the county just since June 30th and continue to add to that number daily. We partner across the county with nonprofits to offer financial support and resources. We partner with our first responders for training and within the community for wellness. Cardinal's Innovations efforts and investments in this community are significant, and more importantly, no single organization can single-handedly solve the issues raised here today. They're systemic in nature, and many communities, not only in North Carolina, but across the country, are dealing with exactly these issues. That being said, we're doing our part to move the system forward, the county forward, by making real and meaningful change. You'll see that in the action plan that we respond to on Monday. Ultimately, the final determination about our relationship with Mecklenburg will be made by the Department of Health and Human Services and the Secretary. Regardless, here at Cardinal, we steadfast in our mission to protect the folks that we have the privilege to serve, 825,000 of them in North Carolina. Frankly, we believe the right path forward is to continue to build on the progress that we've made rather than creating more instability. Thank you. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. So now I'll just start over here and ask if anybody has any questions.
I do.
Commissioner, I'll start with Commissioner Fuller.
Oh, with me? Okay. All right, thank you. It's not terribly surprising that we're here. And this goes all the way back to 2013. At a time when, and I know I may be a broken record on this, but
That's all right.
even before 2013, the state told us to create an agency called MechLink. Told us to. Because they were with this Republican-dominated General Assembly, wanted to change the way behavioral health was delivered in North Carolina. We spent county money
Right.
to create an agency, only to have the rug pulled out from under us
Out of the Republican Party.
and told us we had to go with a private agency. And we had no choice in the matter. State statute. In fact, the state statute specifically prohibits the county from providing behavioral health services. And so, after litigation, we joined with Cardinal Health. And at the time, you could predict
That's right.
issues.
That's right.
We, Mecklenburg County alone, represented more than double the amount that was already in Cardinal's catchment. We were going to be the big dog in this always. And you had a program. I'm not trying to be disparaging. I'm just saying there was a difference between the counties that were in Cardinal at the time and the largest urban county in the state. There were bound to be problems. Bound to be. Administering a program to provide behavioral health for a highly dense, large urban county is just different in kind, different in scope than what had been done before. So at the time, I remember saying, that we got to do some thinking about how this is going to work. Where you have, I think, 20 other counties and us in one catchment area, that was bound to be problematic. And I'm not blaming the current CEO for this, but there were actions taken by previous CEOs and board of Cardinal that were antithetical to this working. I'm not just talking about the salary grabs and all the other things that were happening that caused the state to have to come in and essentially remove everybody. This is the history we're dealing with. But it's not a history that we caused. This was put upon us. And as I said when Mr. Sutton was here earlier in the year, we want to try to make this work, even though it's something that we would not prefer to do. And so I'm glad we wrote the letter to the secretary, who apparently responded fairly quickly, which is remarkable, given all that she's dealing with this global pandemic. And so I'm grateful that the secretary did respond quickly. I guess where I am is, I think we got to try to make the best of a bad situation. Because my concern is that even if we disengage from Cardinal, unless we're able to set up our own, we're going to go to another one. And I don't know. I don't know. Now, I do want to make clear, I am not going to countenance being asked to take sides against county staff on issues of whether things are happening or not happening. I'm not going to countenance that. I'm not going to countenance somebody saying that my staff is wrong. They may be, but I'm not going to countenance that. And so, these claims of whether things have been taken care of or not taken care of, I'm just not going to countenance siding with somebody else over county staff. I'm just not going to do that. So I take what our staff has said to us as where we are. That's what we charge them to do. They are working for us when they do it. So I'm just not gonna hear that. What I will say, however, is that I just think in the end, we got to somehow try to make this work. And so I'm willing to say this, and maybe I'll make this a substitute motion, that I want to give one last chance, but give the county manager authority now that if that doesn't work, that she would have the authority to go forward with this process so that we achieve both things. We give this last chance. That's it. The letter to the secretary, if that process does not work, I don't want you to have to come back to begin disengagement. But I do want this one last, that's it.
You be gone.
Well, I'm here today. One last chance to get this right. And if we can't get it right, we can't get it right.
So
We need to
Dina,
do what we need to do. So I'm going to make a substitute motion.
well, can you wait a second?
Yes.
Dina, can you speak to, because I think that the motion as it is does give them a chance. Can you speak to that, please?
Yeah, so let me
take a little bit of a step back. The problem with this relationship is that we have, the contract is between Cardinal and the state. So Mecklenburg County, we have no ability to make anything happen as it relates to this relationship. We've got no leverage. The only leverage we have is disengagement. We have been at this for years. And while I appreciate Trey saying that he's going to come forward with a plan, I cannot tell you how many times I've heard that before, and we're still sitting here, and we've got 16 kids that are sitting in emergency placements. The difference this time is that we've got the attention of the secretary, and I had a conversation with Dave Richard yesterday about this, and he understands how important it is for Mecklenburg County to be able to disengage, because on July 1st, 2021, when Medicaid transformation goes into effect, we have no opportunity to disengage. Our time frame, our window to disengage every single day gets smaller and smaller and smaller. I need to make sure that I protect the interests of the county so that if we need to get out, we can get out. So I'm willing to work on dual tracks to look at their plan and to see they're going to submit a plan, and the state is also going to submit a letter to us and is going to tell us how they intend to hold Cardinal accountable to achieve the things that they say they're going to do. I'm happy to look at that and see that, but I do think that we need to have the ability to be able to start thinking about where we go next if this does not work. We can't wait 6 months for them to be able to execute on this plan.
I agree.
Because July 1st, 2021 is only 8.5 months away.
That's right.
So that's why this is pretty critical and time sensitive.
Well, and that's why I say, that's why my motion is to give you the authority now,
Okay.
and so that you can go the two
That's what my
tracks.
motion says.
Huh?
That's what my motion says.
No, the motion says it authorizes to begin the process.
Yes.
It says authorize the county manager to begin the process of disengagement as outlined by the North Carolina General Statutes.
That's right.
And that would be starting to put together the plan, which is going to take some time.
That's my motion.
So we would probably start tomorrow, because there's a lot involved in doing this. I don't know if Tyrone wants to weigh in here, because you've been working on this quite a bit.
Well, as the manager said, there's a lot involved. And to do a disengagement plan, as she said, it's 9 months. You have to do a lot of notification, and you have to do things within the statutory period of time. So for every day you wait, you lose opportunity to meet statutory requirements.
And what does this Medicaid transformation mean? What is that?
Talked it up.
What is that going to be?
So they're going to, the state has made a decision to shift physical health from a fee-for-service reimbursement model to full managed care. And so not only is it going to be behavioral health, but it's also going to be physical health. And we're going to have 5 managed care programs here in Mecklenburg County. Some of the behavioral health services are going to also be a part of those physical health plans, like a Blue Cross or Cigna or Anthem, you know, those providers. The state has not given us clear guidance or information on what services are going to be managed by the physical health providers and what services are going to be left with Cardinal.
But we do understand that the kids that are in our custody
Will still be managed by Cardinal.
would still be managed by Cardinal.
Yep.
So we would not have the ability to change.
So you're saying that the transformation would take away any disengagement opportunity because it's all going to be?
The whole structure will be different.
So if we are disengaged by then, what would that mean?
That means we'd be with another LME MCO, and that would still be the case, but we would have, we would expect that we would get a higher level of service from another LME MCO than we were getting from Cardinal.
Why do we believe that?
If it's helpful, there's one other piece of the transformation story, and that's the foster care population. In 1 year after the commercial plans go live, the department's also launching an RFP process that would include a foster care or foster kids plan that would be statewide. So it would be, the 5 plus the 6 plus local behavioral health organizations. Cardinal would be one of those Taylor plans. So it's a little there's an additional wrinkle for the children that we're talking about tonight.
Well, I don't want to dominate, but I did want to ask this last question. So why do we believe, or do we believe, that we would get better from some other entity?
Well, we've been talking to partners for probably a year now, and I've talked to other counties that are part of that organization, and they are very satisfied with the service that they've been receiving from partners. I mean, the other thing I'll say, there's probably 8 or 9 counties now that are talking about disengaging from Cardinal, and all I can tell you is it can't all be us. It's the
Right.
same stories, it's the same frustrations.
In fact, Union and Cabarrus have already,
They've already voted to disengage. Rockingham will be sending a letter. I believe Stanley County has now reached out. And then there's Alamance, Davidson, Stokes
Question, Candy.
Right.
that have also expressed concerns. So there's 20 counties in the catchment area, and I think that's about 9 or 10 so far, so.
So I'm going to move on to Commissioner Leek, and you can think about that, Commissioner Fuller.
yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Leek?
Thank you very much. I just want to reiterate what we've experienced over the years dealing with Cardinal and not dealing with Cardinal. When they came just some months ago, a room was packed with people, and they talked about correcting some of their issues and problems that we were confronted with then, which is still it's a problem for us from the very beginning. And I don't want to restate what Mr. Fuller had said, because he's exactly right. It was turmoil, problems, even talking to some of the workers of Cardinal who have withdrawn and have drawn up lawsuits against Cardinal. If you read those lawsuit papers from a young lady I got who was one of their persons who worked for them. And I got her lawsuit information maybe a couple of weeks ago. Stephanie, don't remember the last name, but I have those papers. So I'm in accordance with the motion that's on the board, and we have not gotten good communication, nor have we had good communication from Cardinal in the first place, with the money, with the budget, with the staffing, and with taking care of seniors, taking care of children. And I feel that we are at a place of no return. The longer we wait, the worse it gets. And the public is holding us accountable as elected officials and not keep putting it off. I don't know what kind of relationship other people have with Cardinal. That should not interfere with the responsibility we have to service this community. And if the staff is saying things to us and we're not out there listening every day and dealing with these issues every day, as you stated, I value what you're saying, and you're not adding to it. It's what we've heard before. So I'm tired of hearing it, and I want to make sure that we do the right thing for our people who sometimes cannot make those decisions. When the state said to us we had to go with a given program, that bothered me, completely bothered me. And with the amount of money we had already spent on a process and the salaries that were involved and all the corruption that was involved, nobody want to use that term, but that's what was going on. It was a money-making device for people, and we saw it, we read it. So I'm ready to go with the motion, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Harden?
So, you know, I agree with Commissioner Leek. A couple of things. One is that I have to say, since Cardinal came to our presentation, they've been very much in contact with me. I have 2 folks that have been working in the district trying to work on, we have a homeless gentleman up at Cotswold, and they're meeting with him weekly, and, you know, but that's not their job, really. Their job is to serve the most serious youth in foster care in our, so while I appreciate the
Must be some.
increased service to the commissioners,
I will.
we have 16 children who are, and families reach out to us that are in these situations, and we know that their needs aren't being met. And we also, I mean, I honestly think that this is why we have staff to help us make these really hard decisions. And so I'm going to support the motion. Thank you.
Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I am going to support the original motion. I want to stand behind staff 100% on this. I think that they've been dealing with this for so long, and it's time to make a change. And I think with the window closing, I think we have to accelerate and go as fast as we can, because we have to think of the children. We have to think of all the people that have been reaching out to us with problems. And I just think it's long overdue. So I'm sorry, but I just think that Cardinal has lost all credibility. So I'm going to support the original motion.
Thank you. Commissioner Cotham?
Oh, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. First of all, I want to thank Commissioner Fuller for giving history. And you did a great job, but we all know it was much worse. And it was also hard because we were new, and we had this extremely difficult, complex problem that we had to work with, and it was very difficult for the staff, and we blamed the state for putting us in that situation and backing us into a corner. So it was extremely hard, and we did as best a job as we could to get through that. And I know you, as I remember, you were leading some of those committees, and that was great. That was very helpful, but it was very difficult. And certainly over the years, we've had problems. And I remember Dina talking several years ago, maybe 4 or so, worried about residential treatment. That's what I remember you talking about. And at that time, I was trying to learn more about mental health, and I talked to many families and who had children, or sometimes they weren't really young, but young adults, and so suddenly the numbers became someone's daughter, someone's granddaughter, someone's son, and heartbreaking, and they were very worried. And then as I got to know more about mental health, I found out that from talking to Atrium some years ago, that children were being abandoned there, and that was gut-wrenching to hear that a family was so desperate that they abandoned their child there because they knew the hospital would take care of the child. And it was all very difficult. And I know there's been change in leadership at Cardinal, and I remember in the beginning there was problems, but I do think that the staff, we've been patient a long time, and I know the staff has reached a limit, and I think for the good of the families involved, that it's good to start this, and just to because you have to have leverage. As I thought it was important, Dina, when you said about the time is shrinking, the window is shrinking, and action is required now, and so I think it makes sense to do that. And that doesn't mean you still can't meet with them and whatever, they can put their report in and all that, but I think you have to have that leverage. And I appreciate you explaining that to us about the window shrinking, because the state is, as we know from last night, things are going to stay the same, and we have to accept that, and accept that things, the attitude isn't going to change about this. So I think it's even more important that we do this because of last night. And so, Anthony, thanks for the great presentation. And so I'll support the motion as it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Scarborough, do you have any comments?
No, I just call for the question. I think it's enough for the discussion.
Okay. I just want to, thank you. I just want to see if Commissioner Fuller had anything else.
Well, I had made a motion that wasn't seconded, so that's
Okay.
off. I guess this is why it's important to have the discussion. And what has been determinative to me in this discussion is what the county manager said about the timing.
I got a sick child.
So I think I'm going to have to support the motion.
Call for the question.
We're getting ready, so we have a call for the question, and all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please raise your hand. And so it passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we need to vote on the motion.
No, we just voted on it.
We just did, you made the motion. You made the motion.
Discussion, I thought we closed the discussion.
She made Commissioner Leek made the motion, Commissioner Scarborough seconded it.
I remember that.
Yeah, and so we all just voted
I'm
on it.
not going to argue as long as we pass the motion.
Okay. It passed unanimously. Now, moving forward to consent agenda, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent items that have not been pulled.
So moved.
Second.
So it's been moved and properly seconded, moved by Commissioner Fuller, seconded by Commissioner Scarborough. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
What's coming now?
Oh, thank you. So, thank you. Welcome back. Okay.
No, have we closed the meeting out?
Moving forward to pulled consent items. The first pulled consent item is 20-6451. Commissioner Leek.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Our amendment budget on the Health Department of an increase. And I asked what was this increase specifically for, and it talks about Public Health has awarded the department of additional funding for implementation of our immunization action plan. That means all of these shots we've been talking about today. So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Agenda item 20-6452, appointment of review officer, Commissioner Leek.
Thank you. I raised the question of who is this individual review officer, appointment of a review officer of what?
This review of plats, documents that are filed when land is being turned over. It's required by the General Assembly that people who are knowledgeable before they're filed with the Register of Deeds, someone to review those documents.
So who have we appointed?
This, I think, is a recommendation from the town of Davidson.
I can't hear you.
I think it's from the town of Davidson.
From the town of Davidson?
Yes.
All right, then we're so moved, Madam Chair.
Second. Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item 20-6454, Duke
Thank-
Lighting Service Contract, Commissioner Leek.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm excited about this lighting that will be available for the Teresa Clark Elder Park out in Dorada. And that's where Dr. Boyd's church is, right there at that park. And it talks about there'll be 18 lights in that community at that park that will cost $458.10 per month. And I agree with it, and I'm happy that we're doing this. It says that Duke Energy is only light provider for this area. So move, Madam Chair.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Moving on to agenda item 20-6459, Development and Reimbursement Agreement for Wilmore Centennial Park. Is Lee Jones here? No? Commissioner Lee?
I pulled that because that's in my district. That's over almost on South Boulevard, the Wilmore Centennial Park. And it specifies that the county to enter into a reimbursement agreement with the developer for constructing the park improvement. And in talking with Mr. Jones about it, I'm in favor of it, and I'm hoping that the new facility that they're planning to put in that area will be sufficient for that community on that end of our county, end of our county. So I'm going to move that we accept this
Second.
consent item.
It's
Madam
been
Chairman.
moved by Commissioner Leek, seconded by Commissioner Fuller. And should I ask you the question, Leslie? I mean, I have a question. The $2 million worth of reimbursements, did the Park and Rec employees, were they involved with the design?
Yes, it is a collaborative design team that includes both the developer as well as Park and Rec.
And
They're designing based on what we're requesting. And it also included resident engagement.
okay, and then on the landscaping, will that be natives? Will those be native?
I'm sure what I would say is the trees have not been selected of what's going to be part of the landscaping. However, the team is completely aware of the types of things that we should be planting there. So I would assure you it probably is.
I got a sick child at home, I gotta go.
Okay, it's just really important that everybody's working together on that.
Yes, it is.
Okay. It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Moving on to agenda item 20-6482. Oh, we already did that one.
I want to ask a question about this proclamation.
Commissioner Lee?
Quickly, won't take long.
Commissioner Lee?
Were we aware that there was African American Historical Genealogical Society today? What day is it?
Today.
Today.
Actually, today. Okay. And this is when you look up the history of your family, if you're black.
Can I?
Commissioner
make a comment
Rodriguez
on that?
McDowell?
I'm sorry, so what?
Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell wanted to,
I just wanted to give a little background on how this came up. One of my constituents brought it to me and asked if we could make a proclamation, and my constituent is Janice Robinson, and she is part of the group. And she brought it to me, and I put it out as a request to all, I believe I put it out to all BOCC, and then the responses were from Commissioner Dunlap, and then Hardin and Powell. So just wanted everyone to be aware that I put the request out for co-sponsors all at the same time, and so those were the responses that came back. So thank you.
and now we're going to move on to agenda item 20-6468, which is commissioner reports, and I will start with Commissioner Jarrell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At the beginning of the meeting, it was really my honor and pleasure to congratulate everyone that offered themselves up to service for our community, regardless of the outcome. And, I mean, I think, you know, offering ourselves up the way we see people in this community try to step up to make change is just really inspiring. And again, I want to just take the opportunity to congratulate you, my colleagues, our future colleagues, because I know that it's going to be a continuation of the work that has already been started. And while we're elected, there are plenty of people that are not elected that offer themselves a service every day and have been here prior to us being here. And so I certainly want to take the opportunity to acknowledge them, our staff, and all the team members and all the employees of Mecklenburg County, and to say thank you. But I want to close with saying thank you to the people of District 4 for entrusting their confidence and faith in me to be their voice. And my full intention is to continue that, continue to be a voice for those who are marginalized, those who are disconnected, and those who feel like they have not been heard. And I'm proud of each of you, my colleagues, because I think we have been able to move the needle for a lot of those people based on the feedback that I've received. And I am just humbled by the opportunity that the people of District 4 have given me. And I never come into this building without realizing that it's so many shoulders that I stand on who've made sacrifices that allow me to sit behind this dais and represent them, and I'm grateful for that. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Cotham?
Oh, thank you. I also want to congratulate everyone, and certainly will miss our two colleagues who are leaving us, especially Trevor. We've been together since 2012.
True.
I used to be able to say his speech in 2012. I said, if you can't come, I can do your speech. You know, the best thing about being a county commissioner is you get to meet people you would normally not meet. And we've all done that and met people in the community. It's the greatest privilege. And to be able to make a difference, as you outlined, Commissioner Jarrell, to make a difference in the community, to you know, change a direction or just to help an individual. And we've all done that. And that is, you can't take that to the bank, but that's what makes us rich, to be able to serve. And I'm extremely rich because I have met so many wonderful people. And the longer you're a commissioner, you get richer. And so it's a wonderful experience. I would just also like to say thank you to all the people in the community who are volunteers and supporters to elected officials, and to tell us what's going on, or give us, you know, tell us about an issue, or you really need to look into this. I get that, you know, and I'm sure you all do too. Or there's something going on over here and we're worried about it. And the trust that they place in us, and they have expectations that we can help them. And sometimes we can, and sometimes we can't. But at least we listen to them, and they're heard. And that makes a difference. It is a wonderful, it's a wonderful experience. And we have to make hard decisions here. We made extremely hard decisions back when we were new in 2013 because of how the state put us in that situation. And then we had the reval from 11 that we had to clean up, and that was extremely difficult. And so we have to make hard decisions and learn a lot. But we've all do our work and keep our head down and get the work done. But it does take the staff to help us. And Dina, you've been great. And your staff is always there if we need help or advice or just to vent. But I do want to thank all the volunteers and the people who worked at the polls this year, my goodness, and all the people who waited in line. But this is 2020's been a hard year for everybody, and it's probably going to continue for a while. We'll all be happy at New Year's when we get rid of 2020, but 2021 might be tough for a while too. So, but anyway, we have to go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Scarborough?
Thank you and good night.
Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell?
Thank you. Yes, I would like to just add that, you know, I think as being a first-time re-elected, it's a very unique experience, and I just want to say thank you to the folks. My pool of volunteers, donors, supporters, family and friends has just grown, and from my original run in 2018 until this time, it's just been extremely, just really moving to get the kind of support from people who really feel like you're making a difference. And so that's the sort of the gas that gets the engine going, because this is a tough job. And it's a lot of hours, it's what you put into it. And I just want to say thank you to all the people who feel that they appreciate the leadership that I'm giving to the district. And so I just want to thank people of District 6. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Harden?
Thank you, Chairwoman. So I think we witnessed something extraordinary in Mecklenburg County yesterday. We had people really participate in their civic duty and vote. In my precinct alone, we had over 80% turnout. And that's pretty remarkable. And so I think we saw people wanting to have voice and using their vote to have their voice. And then the second thing is that I think we have so much suffering going on right now. And people are asking for their leaders. I think it's very important for us to tell the truth about what's happening in our world right now. Because I think that there's so much conflicting information. And so, I think one of the reasons why people get reelected is because they're authentic. And they represent who they really are, and the people can trust them. And so, I think that, I just really respect and admire the people that have been reelected to this board. I think that the community, I agree with Commissioner Fuller that the community endorsed the direction of this board and decided to continue with that direction. And I think that's a very positive thing. We all worked very hard on that agenda, and it was nice to see that agenda affirmed. And so, I think that, I think it's going to be important over the next couple of weeks that we figure out ways to bring the community together, because I think it's going to feel like I think there are going to be forces among us that are going to try to divide us. And so I just want to be a voice, and I'm just encouraging my district, which has the potential to be very divided, to come together and let's move forward in honesty and authenticity and truth as we get through this. We have kids going back to school. We have COVID rates going up. We have holidays. We have a change. We have some sort of thing happening at the national level with our leadership. So anyway, I just want to say that I think people are looking to their leaders to be places or sources of unity and truth tellers. And I appreciate the people on this board who step into that space. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Lee?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm reading quickly a notice I just got here a few minutes ago from Virginia. Bishop Lewis Hunter transitioned last night from complications of the virus in Atlanta, Georgia. Please keep the family uplifted. Very strong young man who has just gone on to glory. Just read it a few minutes ago. And it's wonderful to sit here and listen to all of these testimonies. I thought I was in church. I was about to say hallelujah, amen. Because when we began to talk about the trials and tribulations of our districts and our communities, some of us get beat over the head because we stand up for our people. And I don't apologize for standing up for my people at all. I'll always stand up for them. And you ought to do the same thing. Nobody's stopping you from doing that. But don't call me disruptive and disrespectful and get off the topic. My topic may not be your topic. My topic never is your topic. Because I feel like I said this to Mark Jarrell. I feel like it's the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s when we were fighting for integration. We went to court, and I feel just like we're right back where we started from as a people in this country, because there's divisiveness that has been brought on by the leadership of the country, and it has trickled down all over this country. Everywhere you go, in Mecklenburg County. It's very prominent in Mecklenburg County. People don't have any places to live. Poverty is strong. Weak education. Not concerned because somebody speaks up about an issue. Don't get mad at me because I fight for an issue. I'm going to do that. Your way to fight is your way. My way to fight is my way. Because I'm out there in the street with my people and will always be. I can remember my parents taking me with them to try to vote, could not vote. And today, the same rhetoric is across this country of not being able to vote. Every way we can find to keep black people from voting. And we thought this was our way out, was to be able to vote. So I say to us that we are just as bad as the rest of this country because we got issues on this board of likes and dislikes. I don't sleep with you, so it doesn't matter to me. But I'm going to do what I have to do, and I want you to do what you have to do. And the last thing I want to say is, I've never seen it this way before, other than when I say I still am reliving the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s of desegregation, of being segregated as a black woman and being accused when you have an idea and you fight for it. She's mad. She doesn't know how to respect us as white women. I've heard that. So I'm saying my parents taught me to be strong and tell the truth if it hurts. And sometimes it does hurt. And I'm hurting now because of my country and my community. You can't live where you want to in Charlotte. You're still discriminated against. You're redlined. You can't get jobs. And jobs are available and they deny you the right. So I'm hoping that after all of this, and I refuse to sing that song that Martin Luther King and those sang years ago. And I said to Mark recently, people hated Martin Luther King when he was living because he was a troublemaker. And the greatest haters of Martin Luther King happened to be the faith community. Right. The faith community. And I fell in love with a young man I met at the University of Buffalo who was Malcolm X. He was on the campus to speak, and he talked about the devils. And we still have those devils. And he said to us as young people, when you fight for right, people don't want you. People tried to kill Martin Luther King, and they did kill Martin Luther King. And as soon as he died, everybody's now repeating something he said and want to be identified with him. So I couldn't let this moment pass because I may not have this moment again.
Thank you, Commissioner
But
Lee.
we will get to work together because we've got a cause to work for.
Thank you.
And we're going to miss you, Miss Harding, and love you dearly because of your smile. We may not agree on things, and we don't agree on education, and Fuller, God knows we're going to miss you because you came alive after 5. Your voice, your tone, your rhetoric is greater now than it ever was before. So your future, I pray that is better. So to the staff, I love you dearly. have always respected you. And Dina, I treat you like my daughter. I love you dearly, and if anybody talk about you, I cuss them out. Because I love you. Thank you so much, and thank you for affording me the opportunity to say this.
Thank you, Commissioner Lee.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fuller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I won't cuss people out for you, Dina, but I do support you. Well, I won't have too many more of these opportunities, but I did want to say after yesterday and continuing into today, elections are very sobering things. And one of the sobering things about yesterday's elections was that, you know, we think of ourselves as a certain way as a nation. We think we've come some distance and progress, and we think that norms matter, and we think that presidents ought to act particular ways and other elected officials, and then when they don't, we expect that there's going to be some kind of response to that. We expect that there's going to be some kind of repudiation. And there are a lot of people yesterday, I count myself among them, who couldn't escape a feeling of some disappointment and maybe anxiety that there wasn't a fulsome repudiation of what we've seen over the last 4 years. And that's a very sobering thought. We have a country that is very divided. Very divided.
That's right.
And, you know, Commissioner Leake talks about, you know, what happened in the 50s and 60s. And it's not the same, but boy, it has some echoes that really troubling, really troubling. You look at what happened in really everywhere. North Carolina, South Carolina, particularly in the South. And just some very disturbing echoes. And it just makes you wonder, are we really as a nation who we think we are? Are we? I have to believe that we have progressed. I have to believe that, because I wouldn't be sitting in this seat if we have not had any progress. We've had some, clearly. But we got a long way to go. But particularly here in North Carolina, there are a lot of great people who are running, particularly statewide races, and, you know, and judges. I mean, it was just, I'm just saying me as a Democrat, just very disappointing to see so many people just get wiped out. But people who sit on this dais understand that when you're running for an office, it's a completely different thing than observing, than helping campaigns. No, when you are the person on that ballot,
That's right.
it's different. It's different. It's very personal to you, absolutely. And I say that and mention that because I'm just so honored to serve with people who sit at this dais. I was told by a fellow commissioner once that your first reelect is the hardest one. That's the hardest one, because the first time could have been a fluke. The second time, you got a record that you have to defend. And so when people vote for you again, that means something. That means something. And so I'm just very proud of those who were unopposed and those who had to fight and won those fights. You know, I kept reading the Observer saying that it was an all-Democrat board, as if somehow there's something wrong with that, you know, you gotta have bipartisanship quote unquote. But, you know, if you're doing the work and people's lives are being improved, it shouldn't matter that it's all one party. And I think that the fact that the people of Mecklenburg County, all across the county, from District 6 to District 1, said continue. They said continue. I think that's really significant, really significant. And I also want to mention the new commissioners who will come on board. Commissioner Lee Altman, Commissioner-elect Lee Altman, who will serve at large, and Commissioner-elect Laura Meyer, who will serve in District 5. They worked hard. They worked hard. And I want to certainly acknowledge our Vice Chair, Commissioner of District 1, who, in resounding fashion, won re-election against stiff competition. Resounding. And I just want to give a special thanks to Commissioner for District 6. She is my commissioner. I live in District 6. And I was so glad to see that she, Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell, succeeded and will continue on this board and continue to provide leadership to our community. So as I roll off, and I'll say more later, much to your chagrin, I'm sure, but I just leave so proud of this board, what we've set in motion. And I tell people all the time, the county's the real deal in this political space, because we do so many things, so many things. We're responsible for so many things. Just tonight, we made a momentous decision relating to the lives of a lot of people in this county having to do with behavioral health. That was a hard decision. But that's what we're called upon to do every single day. And so I just want to say that I'm so proud of serving with folks here. And I believe in Mecklenburg County, we still are an island of blue and a sea of red. And but I think people are coming our way. They're seeing things the way we see them. And so I'm proud to serve in Mecklenburg County. I'm proud of the people of Mecklenburg County, and I congratulate all my colleagues who will continue. And lastly, I'll say that I will miss serving with you. I'll miss serving with Commissioner Hardin, who we only had a short time to serve together. But I'm very grateful, very, very grateful to have served with you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fuller. I just have a few comments. I believe in America, and I have been showing up and serving the community for 31 years. And I get to serve year number 32 and 33 as the District 1 Commissioner. And I don't take that lightly. I also want to say that you're right. Nobody knows what it's like. We're among a select few in the world that know what it's like to be on the ballot, not just once, but twice, and what that's like. And Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell was the first person that I ever heard say that politics was a blood sport. But I want to say it was never a blood sport for me. When I was running the first time, these children gave me a rock from their Garden of Kindness, where they paint, the little children paint the rocks, and it said, "Be yourself." And every time that it was tense, I had that rock next to me, and I'm not going there. I'm not going into the blood sport. And so I was myself, and I think people want their leaders. They expect that from their leaders. You know, just the decency to not be divisive, to seek unity. And so I will continue to serve. I will never ask somebody their political affiliation when they're sharing an idea, because all ideas matter. And so I am honored to be here and very proud to serve with you. Thank you. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn. I think it's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And the meeting is adjourned.